My name is Dmytro Rudeychenko. I'm a member of Romny Minor Academy of Sciences. I'm pupil of the 10th form Romny Secondary School number 2. My scientific supervisor is Harchenko Anna Andreevna. My scientific advisor is Kozlova Victoria Viktorovna. The theme of my research work is structural and semantic features of American linguistic culture realia based on the documentary The Great Hack. Modern linguists aim to preserve the originality and the primary meaning of the work while translating it. Linguistic culture realia are the biggest practical obstacle because they contain specific vocabulary that has no equivalent in other languages. The difficulty is that the situational analog selected by the interpreter must not only contain the specific context connotation, but also have a national identity. The topicality of the research is to uncover the current tendencies of updating English in the USA by highlighting the semantic and structural features of contemporary American linguistic culture realia on the material of the documentary The Great Hack. Modern linguists are very interested in the problem of lingua-culture realia. It was investigated by such scholars as Sobolev, Chernov, Suprun. They studied lingua-culture realia as the indicators of national coloration and identity. The aim of the research is to reveal the structural and semantic features of American lingua-culture realia on the material of the documentary The Great Hack. The following tasks were set: to define the notion of lingua-culture realia, to find out peculiarities of classification of lingua-culture realia, identify features of American linguistic culture, analyze the semantic features of American lingua-culture realia on the material of the documentary The Great Hack, analyze structural features of lingua-culture realia on the material of the documentary The Great Hack. In the process of investigation, the following methods were applied: critical analysis, linguistic observation, component analysis, and some others. The study material was based on the American lingua-culture realia selected with the continuous sampling method from the documentary The Great Hack. The novelty of the research lies in the future development of the structural and semantic features of American lingua-culture realia and the involvement of the 2019 documentary The Great Hack. This research gives an opportunity to understand native speakers of the English language better. There was an attempt to identify the features of American lingua-culture realia and their classification. It can really improve communication between the Ukrainians and the Englishmen. The aim and the tasks caused the following structure of the research work: introduction, main part that consists of 2 chapters, conclusions, the list of resources, summary, and supplements. The first chapter presents the theoretical substantiation of the study of structural semantic features of American lingua-culture realia based on the documentary The Great Hack. The second chapter is devoted to characterizing the structural and semantic features of American lingua-culture realia from the documentary The Great Hack. Many scientists have referred to the term realia, and the definition of Florin and Vlachov is considered to be the most thorough. Realia are objects, concepts, phenomena specific to the history, culture, life, structure of the certain people, and don't exist in other languages. Classification of lingua-culture realia was studied by such linguists as Vlachov and Florin, Vinogradov, Tomachin. There are several approaches to it in domestic and foreign linguists. The classification of Vlachov and Florin will be taken as the basis for the study. According to their classification, lingua-culture realia can be divided into 2 groups: by subject matter, by local affiliation. Among American linguistic features, the researchers distinguished the following main pillars on the basis of which further classification is built: holidays, customs, names of historical and mythical heroes, and some others. The distinguishing features of American lingua-culture realia are that they were previously used in song, advertising, literature, scientific, television, blogging, and film discourses. The main features of the American realia are language constructions, which were primarily used in politics, media, books, etc. Close to the term realia in English language culture is the term catchphrase, which literally means phrases that are gaining in popularity, catch on, and integrated into the active phraseologism vocabulary of native speakers. For example, the Iron Lady. The documentary The Great Hack was selected for our linguistic research. It's referring to the league age of 87 million Facebook users and tells about global political manipulations that helped Donald Trump to win the presidency in November 2016. While investigating language peculiarities of the documentary The Great Hack, linguistic analysis was applied. 220 linguocultural realia were found and researched. They were defined by the factors of translation characteristics, subject, trait, local affiliation, and structural type. The realia, according to the subject trait, were divided into 4 groups: socio-political, geographical, ethnographical, and military. 76% of the linguistic realia in this documentary are socio-political. For example, Crooked Hillary, the Civil War. Linguocultural realia that denote political features of an American society, modern digital technologies, techniques of searching and analyzing information were found in the group. 13% of our research material is geographical. The group contains proper names of geographical objects, cities, towns, countries, and their capitals. For example, Washington, Ukraine. 8% of research realia are ethnographic. They denote holidays, local affiliation, money, for example, dollar and cowboy. And 3% of words are military. They denote military subjects, for example, the USA Army. All of the linguocultural realia were defined according to their local affiliation. 85.5% of material in this documentary is all American. For example, Barack Obama's campaign Congress. It emphasizes that the conflict occurred in the United States of America. 14.5% of linguocultural realia are borrowed. For example, Afghanistan. We have defined linguocultural realia according to their structural type. 49% of the analyzed realia are polynomials. For example, national security propaganda machine. 35% are monomils. For example, Pentagon. 11% are phraseologisms. For example, words and all. 3% are acronyms. For example, NRA. 2% are sentences. For instance, Make America Great Again. The linguocultural realia were defined according to the specific part of speech they belong to. Our linguistic study reveals that 90% of language material is nouns. Take away Kenya. Only 6% and 3% accounts for adjectives and verbs, respectively. Language is a constantly changing phenomenon. It changes as fast as the culture identity does. That is why speaking about the Great Hack is comprehensible only for the reader who has certain background knowledge on historical and political aspects of the USA. So to understand its peculiarities in full, one must do learning language and the culture factor. During the period of presidential election, a large number of simple common words such as privacy policy, digital media became language realia that carry new political-driven meanings. This is a direct evidence that the American society has almost fully integrated the political and historical components of the United States into their daily life. The large number of borrowed linguocultural realia emphasizes a significant contribution of political changes in the US state apparatus to the historical picture of the world, resulting in a number of social and political reconstructions.